Hello. Continuing our third and final part of discussing about how Naladdiyaar words are still relevant in today's culture, today's changing environment and relationships, how we perceive life now versus when when Naladdiyaar was composed thousands of years ago. In this third session, we will be continuing our discussion about the 400 verses of Naladdiyaar. And in previous session, we talked about friendship. And this session again we will be taking up the thread from there and talk about how friendship has been discussed and how people used to live and how they used to perceive friends all those years ago, and how that perception is still relevant now. And in this word, it's in one of the verses it says that having patience in friendship is very important, and this again is a very interesting way of perceiving or looking at friendship. Okay, it's very commonly known that I need to make friends with good people and I must stay away or refrain myself from associating with people who are not good, and when I am associated with people who are not good, I need to step away from them, refrain from their association. That is very common knowledge which is mentioned in Tirukkural, which is again mentioned in Naladdiyaar. But this is one verse in Naladdiyaar which was really interesting for me, it stood out for me, and it tells that I have a friend, and if that friend has some imperfections, I need to look over the imperfections, look past the imperfections and look only at the true friendship underneath. And that is very philosophical in nature, very unique. And here it says that the analogy given here, I would like to mention the verse 221. Nallar enatham nani virumbi kondare allar eninum adakki kollal vendum nellukku umi undu neerkku nurai undu புல் இதழ் பூவிற்கும் உண்டு. So I would like to repeat this again because it's very interesting. நல்லார் என தாம் நனி விரும்பிக் கொண்டாரை அல்லார் எனினும் அடக்கிக் கொள்ளல் வேண்டும். நெல்லுக்கு உமி உண்டு, நீர்க்கு நுரை உண்டு, புல் இதழ் பூவிற்கும் உண்டு. So it says that even the beautiful red paddy, the grains of paddy has got husk around it. Sometimes water has got the foam around it, which is of no use to it, and sometimes even the beautiful aromatic fragrant flower has got these leaves which is of no which is of no fragrance around it. It don't contribute the beauty of the flower in any way. Similarly, I might have friends who are imperfect, but looking past the imperfections, I need to only look at the true friendship which is beneath all of the imperfections. And this is a very different way, perspective, a much more tolerant way of looking at relationships. So if this is taken in today's context, imagine how many relationships would have survived the test of time, we can say, right? Understanding that yes, a friendship is imperfect, my friend can be imperfect, but still I am choosing to look over the imperfections and choose to look only perceive or choose to only look at the good things that this friendship has to offer. So imagine the relevancy, the impact of this one verse has in today's relationships. In today's generation, how we perceive relationships. It is imperfect, they are accepting it. Naladdiyaar mentions that yes, the friendships are imperfect, but I need to look over the imperfections and look at the true the value of someone underneath this all. Moving on, and apart from this, Naladdiyaar also mentions about how we can how the true power of kinship, we can say, right, the true power of having friends, how calming it is, and how and reinforcing it is for one's life. So you have any problem in life, we have lot of issues, lot of challenges which come and go in one's life, but in spite of all of these challenges, if I have the support of my friends, then that will make my challenges look very tiny and puny. And this is mentioned in Naladdiyaar, this very specific example is given here, and the analogy that they are giving is even more very powerful analogy. I would like to mention this verse. Vayavum வருத்தமும் ஈன்றகால் நோவும் கவா அன் மகர் கண்டு தாய் மறந்தா அங்கு அசா அத்தான் உற்ற வருத்தம் உசா அத்தன் கேளிரை காண கெடும். So when a mother has newly, with all the labor pains, with all the suffering, she has delivered her son, but on looking at the newborn baby, all the suffering of this labor pains, everything just vanishes. Similarly, when a man is under a lot of stress, lot of crisis, lot of challenges, if he sees the support that his friends have, the support of his friends, then all of his challenges look very puny, or they just vanish. And here we can see that all those years ago, the friendship has been viewed as strongly as it is still viewed now, and that again tells about the beauty of Tamil culture, right? How we value friendship, and it's beyond everything that we can ever see. And this is again underlining phrase here, or underlining message here from Naladdiyaar is that how do I value, how do I build meaningful relationships? I can have friends, I have to overlook their imperfections and still be friends with them, because true friendship is important, overlooking the imperfections. And when someone is in trouble, when there is a challenging times ahead, when there is a crisis, then the support of true friends will always help us. And this again tells about the community spirit that was there all those years ago. And one more aspect of continuing in part 2, apart from friendship, it also tells about the power of wisdom, and how when we truly learn, when we have an effort to learn something, when we have the dedication, the focus to keep on learning, to acquire knowledge, then that knowledge is given utmost importance in Naladdiyaar times, in these verses. So here they say that when I refuse to learn in youth, so this is, imagine what would have happened in those days for this to be written thousands of years ago by these Jain monks. They say that when a person is not studying well and is refusing to listen to the father's words and not studying a young man, then he will definitely be insulted in a greater forum when there are a lot of learned people, and he cannot establish his wisdom or establish his education. Again, that tells how someone had, young generation were not listening to the father's words and refusing to study, but if they do that, then they are condemned for insults and for a life of pity later on. And one more aspect is about the knowledge or insufficient knowledge, and how having the right wisdom is very important, and how if you have the wisdom, the discipline is the core foundation for acquiring wisdom, acquiring knowledge, and living a virtuous life. So, having the focus, having integrity, and having a disciplined life, these are the founding pillars or the cornerstones for a life of a virtuous life. And here they are giving a very interesting analogy here. பாலால் கழியி பலநாள் உனக்கினும் வாலிதாம் பக்கம் இருந்தைக்கு இருந்ததன்று கோலால் கபாப குறினும் புகழ் ஒல்லா நூலா உடம்பிற்கு அறிவு. So it says that even if I wash the coal with milk multiple times, numerous times, the coal will still remain a black coal, right? Similarly, even if a person is taught a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, it's taught a lot of things. If someone is undisciplined, there is no discipline in someone, there is no focus, there is no moral compass, then the wisdom, they will never acquire wisdom. It's impossible for them to acquire wisdom in spite of learning a lot of things, in spite of being with all the books or knowledge near them. They can never truly attain wisdom if there is no discipline. And this is again how knowledge is being perceived in Naladdiyaar. And here it's that knowledge is not just about information, it's also about discernment. How do I segregate right from the wrong, segregate the right way of living, and how do I choose the right moral compass for me? And practical wisdom is given the utmost importance in Naladdiyaar, where it helps us to make the right choices, while the lack of it obviously leads to downfall. And even if one is learned, even if one is a scholar, has learned a lot of books, if they don't have the discipline, the moral compass, the practical wisdom to rightly apply that knowledge, then there is a downfall waiting for them. And continuing with the second part, we have a very interesting, perception about wealth that happens here, and it's all about how people talk about or perceive wealth here, and even though someone is wealthy, how it is being perceived in Naladdiyaar. So it says that Punnira Chennel Podiyodu Pilvada Min Olir Vanam Kadalullum Kandru Ugukkum Venmai Udayar Viduchelvam Eidiyakal Vanmayum Anna Tagaithu. So while the red paddies is there, the paddies, the husk, the paddy grains, they are they are drying out because of lack of water, because lack of rains, but we can see that there is plenty of rain with lightning and thunder falling down bounteously in the sea. So where do we need actually rain? When the fields are dry, and we need rain there. But where do we see the rain falling? The rain is falling instead in the sea. That too not just normal rain, the rain is coming with lightning and thunder. Such a heavy rain is falling in the sea where it does not benefit anyone, whereas the paddy fields are dry, are laying dry, and the earth is very parched. The analogy that is mentioned in Naladdiyaar, this analogy tells about how even if you have wealth, if you are not using it for the right way, then it is of no use at all. Even if you have wealth, even if you are very wealthy, prosperous, it is of no use if you cannot channelize that wealth in the right way. Doing the right charity, being sharing, being charitable is very important, and the right way. And if not, then it is just like the rainwater going to the sea, the rain falling on the sea. Next, and then they also say about how we can share whatever we have in life, how we are being hospitable in nature, and this again is mentioned where Naladdiyaar exalts poverty. Poverty is okay, it's saying it's better than being wealthy and not sharing with people. So when Naladdiyaar weighs the weighing scale of whether you are poor, whether you are wealthy, then being poor is given higher importance, because even if you are wealthy, if you are not sharing what you have, if you are not being hospitable, if you are not being charitable, then it is even worse than being poor, they say. Sharing, being humble, having the humility, and being hospitable is given utmost importance in Naladdiyaar. And it says that you must have the right moral principles and moral values. So one more aspect of Naladdiyaar here is that it mentions about how to lead an ideal life, and the analogies here are also very interesting. How if we do not have the right moral conduct, the moral compass, it is like, even though if this example is very interesting here. In one of the verses, in Naladdiyaar verses, it says that a frog, a very slimy frog, even if it is kept in a beautiful palace, very rich palace, the frog will still be slimy nature, right. Similarly, person who has not got the right moral conduct, the right moral discipline, then even if they are exalted or praised or kept in a very high position, they still cannot yield the right results of their actions, because they do not have the right virtuous attitude or the mindset or the chaste nature. And just like how the frog remains slimy wherever it is being kept, a person with no discipline or no moral conduct can never reach the higher aspects of life, the pinnacle of life, we can say, as per Naladdiyaar. And they also talk about how having the chaste motherhood or matronhood, about how women are also discussed in detail here, about how we perceive life, how we perceive different kinds of the characteristics of love. And in the second part, we can summarize saying that they talk about wealth, knowledge and friendships. And in wealth, we can see that wealth is accepted, wealth is considered to be very useful only when it is used in a righteous manner and when it is used for good deeds. And wealth is considered very impermanent, and generosity is accepted, is praised, and having a detachment from wealth is also praised in Naladdiyaar. They are valued more. Generosity and detachment from material wealth is valued more. I mean, when we see how knowledge is being perceived, we can find that true knowledge is found to be highly superior to material wealth, and it is a what we say, a companion, we can say. It's a true companion. Knowledge is a companion for life, and Naladdiyaar emphasizes humility in learning. And only if you have humility in learning, you want to learn more and more. You have the earning to learn more and more, and the learning never stops. And the wisdom, the practical wisdom is again celebrated. The practical wisdom to apply whatever you have learned in the right way is of utmost importance, and it's to have to apply it for the societal good. So all of this is mentioned and stressed again and again in Naladdiyaar. And it also the second part of Naladdiyaar also mentions about the friendship, how friendship is important, how it is critical to form true friendships, and how friendships have to be weighed in to check if someone is a good friend or not. And once the true friendship is formed, I can overlook a few imperfections and choose to look at the strong points of my friendship. And if there is a person who is toxic, who is not good, who is morally not good, then it is good to step away from such friendships, from such relationships. So the second part of Naladdiyaar has a very philosophical view about wealth, about knowledge, and about how friendship is being viewed. Now for the third part. In the third and final section of Naladdiyaar, the last few verses, around 10 verses in Naladdiyaar, talk about the different aspects of love. So they poignantly explore the emotional intensity of romantic love, about the separation, anxiety, and then the sorrow, longing, and resilience that a woman experiences, and because of the separation from their true love, and also the resilience of the separation, we can say, right. And also the last 10 verses depict the delicate expression of love also. So we have got different instances in these 10 verses, the analogies. For example, in the evening, when a young woman is thinking about her lover, and then tying up her garland, weaving a garland, just throws it down into the lot of vexed feeling, because what is the use of a garland if her loved one is not nearby? So that is the kind of yearning and the longing that she possesses for to be near to her lover. And when we summarize the 10 verses that we can see here, it says that women hide their yearning, and then they don't express it, many times they express it by being silent, or maybe sometimes by anger, and then many natural statements, we can say, right, natural statements like lightning, thunder, and then the sides of a garland, all of these kindle or trigger the memories of their loved ones, and which again makes them anxious, makes them sad, makes them long. The longing is intense, and then many times the emotional suffering of being away from their loved ones is very deep, is very strong, and this is like that can affect or impact their daily routine. So Naladdiyaar gives us a very minuscule, and these 400 verses, it's like it's a time travel for us. It helps us to look into the lives of Tamil people all those years ago, and how it is woven so intricately, the community spirit, how someone loves each other, how they love each other, and how the feeling is so delicately woven into everyday experiences. For example, a woman waiting for a lover is not able to enjoy her normal life. It is impacting her daily life. It's impacting the way it's like, so the pain. It's explained in a beautiful analogy here, like walking in the desert and defying social norms, because the pain of longing is so much more. So I don't want to accept the social norms because I'm longing, I'm yearning for my loved one. And then the verses end with a very soulful lament, that while gods or enemies don't do much harm, but love itself especially when it's not reciprocated, it's really painful. And with this, the Naladdiyaar ends, and it causes the deepest wounds. And again, this very powerful statement, how love is perceived in Naladdiyaar all those years ago, how it's being mentioned, and how love can torment, how love can empower, and how love can hurt very deeply, and it can transform even lives. Using all these very rich, visually very strong analogies is the beauty of Naladdiyaar, where I can easily understand. So I can say that a young woman is weaving a garland and just throws it down. I can picture herself sitting down in end of the day, waiting for her loved one to come home, but he's not there near her. She just throws it down with a lot of frustration. So that frustration leaps out in all of these sentences, these words, the longing, the yearning, and then the torment that these women are undergoing because of their separation from the loved ones is depicted beautifully in Naladdiyaar. So when in conclusion, all of these 3 sessions where we speak about very briefly about the 400 verses, the collection of these verses, and how they give a very beautiful insight into how life was and what was considered the good way to lead life, the righteous way to lead life, and how it is being perceived even now. It's still highly applicable. I can still choose my friends. I can still step away from ones who are toxic, and I can still choose to spend money in a virtuous manner. So Naladdiyaar in short is a beautiful way of life, explained all of those years ago, but still in these 4 lines a lifetime of wisdom is captured, and it's my privilege to talk about Naladdiyaar. And thanks to everyone for listening. Wishing you the best. Thank you.